Hey, good afternoon. This is Dan with Dan's Everything Outdoors, and I'm coming to you today. I want to show you a tarp that I picked up and going out hammock camping while I'm backpacking lately, and my current tarp that's more durable was just a little bit too heavy, so I started looking around for some other tarp alternatives, and I found one that's only like 1.7 pounds. It wasn't very expensive, so that's why I picked it up. I picked this up for $29 on Amazon. And I wasn't looking for super lightweight one that would cost me a lot of money. I was just looking for another tarp that would be do the job. This one is a 68D ripstop. It's made out of 210T polyester, and it's got taped seams. So I haven't taken it out of the package yet, but I want to pull it out today and see what's in the package, number one, and then set it up for you with the hammock. And let's keep the actual measurements from this and find out if this would be something helpful to you, and also is it going to be helpful to me, which is why I bought it, right? And it comes in a little cinch sack. Oops. Okay, it was tied with that, and it comes with some type of instructions. So if you look at that right there, it says it can be used as a ground cloth, you know, just a tarp, as well as a hammock tarp, or if you're using it, say, over top of another tent. So the standard purpose is that you could use a tarp for. This one says it's 11.2 inches by 9.4 inches. And it says it comes with 6 diamond aluminum pegs. Let's see what they mean by pegs. All right, small stakes. These are quite a bit smaller than the normal ones you see me use, but 6 of them, probably more than what I need. So let's put those to the side. Comes with this rope, and it says it's reflective rope in the dark, which I do like, and it comes with these little rings right here, which I don't necessarily care for, but I can always cut that off with a pair of heavy-duty dikes, and I don't have to use this rope with this. I guess that's supposed to be the lock for the tension on that. I usually just use knots, but I'm going to set this up with what they give me. I'll start off by doing that, and then I can talk about some of the options how you can set this up. So it's already got this loop in here, and just so the rope's not too long, I'm going to wrap it around the tree twice. About that height, I'm just going to guess. And I'm just going to use this loop here. I'm going to pull the line through there and then just stick a toggle in there. That way it uses up some of my rope, and when I want to take this down, I can take it down really quickly. One thing I want to point out about what I do kind of like about this is only $29 tarp, is it's already got all the lines tied out for it. So right out of the package, it has these little stowaways right here that you can put the rope in. And all your lines already tied to it, ready to go. So actually, that's actually kind of like, it's kind of nice, it's kind of convenient. So I'm going to go and do this to both ends, because the other end, same thing, is already ready to go. I just gotta pull this out and then tie it around that tree over there and do the same thing with the toggle. So I had the loop on the end, I took it out because these trees aren't far enough apart. And this is the downside of using a certain preset size rope on either end, because depending on how far your trees are apart, it may not work. If your trees are too far apart, or if your trees are too close. In this case, the tree's a little bit too close. That's why I typically use a ridge line, or I'll actually tie something like this with a small Prusik knot to my hammock, which I'll show you as well. So what I'm going to use for this knot, something real simple, I'm going to come back under this little loop they've got, and I'll just keep their little tensioner right where it is. And I'm just going to come back on the line. And I like tying tightline hitches. So what I'm going to do with the tightline hitch, I'm just going to come here, I'm going to hold this rope up high. This is dangling down in front of it. I'm just going to loop it one time. I'm going to loop it a second time. And I'll put my thumb right there to kind of hold that together. And I'm going to loop it a third time. And this time I'm just going to pull it through. I can pull the rope all the way through, or I can pull it through and leave with the bite. I'm going to pull it through and leave the bite. And now I can just use this to either loosen it like that or tighten it up. That's called a Tightline Hitch. I like to use those. So just in this situation, I'm just going to use that for quick and easy for today. I could also use this tensioner right here to put a little more tension on the line. But now I've got the tarp up, and I will get the hammock up, and then we'll do some measurements. So it's got these tensioners. I'm going to go ahead and use it. I'm just going to pull this all the way out to the end of this knot, and then I'll stake it down on the ground, and then I can just tighten it up as needed. That's a lot of extra rope they give you in reality, but that's good in case you want to put it up over top of another tree or something like that. I think I'm gonna pull this one halfway down. That way I have some room to adjust slightly tighter if I want to. I'm gonna put this down. In reality, for something like this, I'm probably going to use my Tightline Hitch instead. You just have so much more control over how much line you use. This doesn't need to be all the way out there. This could actually be pegged down about right there. The Tightline Hitch, you can adjust it wherever you want to. With this, I'm kind of stuck with wherever the adjuster is. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. Matter of fact, I'll do the other side with the Tightline Hitch to show you what I mean. So for this side, I'm just going to use a Tightline Hitch. If you can see this right here, I'm just going to leave the adjuster up here, and then I'm going to ignore the loop on the end, and I'll just put a Tightline Hitch with a bite. I'll leave the bite in. So with the Tightline Hitch, I can go ahead and just put my stake in a little bit closer than what the rope is going to allow me to do at the loop, and I'll just come forward to about right here, and again I'm just going to put this on top of that. I'm going to pull this around once and twice. All right, put my thumb there to hold it. You can see I still got the loop in the end there. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not going to worry about that. And I'm going to come through a third time on the other side, on the front side, and I'm just going to pull the bite through, just like that. Now, instead of using their tensioner, I still could. I can slide it up and down with my tensioner, or theirs, but that way my line doesn't have to be so long, and it pulls the end of this down even further if I want to keep some warmth in there. I could also probably pull these all the way down if I wanted to. All the way down if I wanted to really get this close into my hammock. So I want to do the same thing to the other side. So there you go, it's all kind of set up. Let me show you a couple things about this real quick. So you can see typically I'll use a ridge line and then just come across the top. But this time I just used this thing as a tightener, and I just use a Tightline Hitch here. The Tightline Hitch has got to be one of my favorite knots. I did the same thing over here. I could tighten on either end. I probably could have tightened it or just tied a knot somewhere on here and tighten that, but I thought I'd leave it. So you can see on that, this covers the end of my hammock on both ends sufficiently with this 11 foot. I've got another one that's a 12 foot. But I'm going to go ahead and measure this from all the way across and see how long it is. So on the other end, my end of my tape measure is about right here, and that's measuring 11 foot 5 inches. So the dimensions are pretty correct on the bag when they say 11 foot 2 inches. The other distance was 9. So So I got on the other side. You can see that's right at about 9 foot at the ends. Of course, this is octagon shaped, so if you look at the edge of this right here, you can see that it curves in to save some of the weight. But it is 9 feet here and about 8 something there. Let's measure that. And about 8 foot or 8'5" right in the center. So the other way you can do it, I just set up a ridge line with a trucker's hitch. I'm going to pull real tight. All right, pull my bite through. And then with a Prusik knot, I'll just pull it through this ring or this loop, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Loosen that up, slide it through, and pull it tight. That's so easy. I do like the ridge line a lot better than tying out the top of the tarp with the rope that they provide. I just prefer knots over gadgets. They're so much easier to be versatile. And what you'll see with this, the way I did this, I ran the ridge line underneath the tarp. The reason I did that for this particular one is, number one, it doesn't really have any more loops on the top. Notice along the top seam there's no more loops. But if you're camping overnight and you have something to dry out, or you have something you want to hang from the underneath in your tarp, you can hang them from this ridge line. The downside of hanging it on the inside is that if you've got a taped seam, like this has taped seams, you could, in essence, be rubbing up against that, which would cause wear. And then those seams, if this tape pulls off those seams or it wears across those, you might start getting some leakage on the seam when it rains. So that's why typically this is going to be on top. It will work on top just the same as it works on the bottom. All right, so let me show that to you. So now we just ran the ridge line over the top of the tarp, and same thing, we used a Prusik knot and we're going to pull it tight. So same thing you can see on here. Now you've got some line here. It's not rubbing on the bottom of your tarp. Your tarp is still well off your hammock, nice, and it can make it even tighter down into the hammock, and you're not wearing that tape on the bottom side. I'm going to show you one other way you can do this without using a ridge line. So the third way that you can do this is just to use the rope right here off from your hammock for your tarp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that Prusik knot here. That's just about 18 inches of, happens to be tarred line, and I tied 2 fisherman's knot. I'm not going to go through that. There's plenty of videos that teach you. There's plenty of videos that teach you how to make a Prusik knot. But I'm just going to start right here. I'm going to wrap this through once, and then twice, and then a third time. All right. I got to dress it up a little bit so it's nice and tight, and then I'm just going to, same thing, I'm going to slip this knot through that loop or this ring, put my toggle. Remember, toggle is a fancy name for stick. All right, actually it's a process of toggling something. I'm just being silly. So same thing for this side. Come through here 3 times. Dress that up a little bit. Slide it down. Put my stick in here, and then just pull that tight. Now I'm just using the hammock line as the ridge line. The downside to this, as people say, is that once I sit in the hammock, the tarp is gonna dip. So that's the downside of doing it this way. But I'm saying if you forgot your ridge line or you didn't have ropes to do this, but you had a small amount of rope, you could tie Prusik knots on either end of this. Just get this real tight. And you still got something over top of you without having extra rope. So I'm gonna sit it and see how much it sags. All right, let's see how much it sags down when I sit in it. So not bad. Look at, that's not that much sag really, to be honest with you. Not much at all. And I can still if I want, tie down these sides are a little tighter because they're already pretty loose. And I'm so far out from this that I can pull this up. Put my stake down a lot closer. A lot closer. So as you probably already figured it out, I'll probably get rid of the hardware and I'll probably keep the rope because the rope's real lightweight, it's reflective, but I really don't need this extra hardware. I just prefer knots. So you have it, a pretty neat tarp for only 29 bucks, really. And it's, you got multi configuration, just long enough to cover, you know, a hammock that's under 12 foot. This hammock must be about 10 foot from all the way across, but from buckle to buckle, it's about around 11 feet. But because it's got the 30-degree dip right here, a little steeper than that right now, on my rope, then it's actually within that 11 foot 2-inch area. One of the other things that you can do if you're really trying to get this down is you don't even need this rope, especially the hammock, right? You might need this line if you're going to use it for an overhead tarp, but if you're coming down to the ground and you really want to stay warm in your hammock, you don't need the rope. You just buckle it all the way on that ring or on the loop of the fabric, like I have on both sides right here. So as you can see, you got a lot of, if you take a look at the hammock now, you've got a lot of protection from the wind coming in, as long as your tarp is set up perpendicular to the wind, right? If you're set up along with the wind, you're going to create a little bit of wind tunnel. So you do want to think about that. The wind's going to be blowing prevalently from one direction or another, and you're setting up in the woods. You may want, that might be in consideration for something like this with this tarp, because you can't close the sides in, they're open. You can't fold this down like you would a square tarp. And that's one of the advantages of a square tarp, is that you can bring the ends in to create a semi-door. With tarps like this that are trying to save a little bit of weight, they're octagon shaped, you don't have that ability to do that. So the best you can do is just pull the sides down really tight. There's a couple more things I want to talk about this tarp. The MIS, stands for Mountain in Sports, is that I really like the bag that it has this on the back. I love it when companies do this because it makes it so much easier to pull your bag out. You're not trying to fiddle it out and grab an end here. You can just grab this loop on the end. I really like that they did that. It's just slightly too small. So getting this to roll up tight enough to fit back in there is difficult. I prefer a bag that's got just a little bit more width on it that you can do that. The other thing let's take a look at is that I like this bag so much, though. I really do. I bought 2 more of them before the price goes up. I just went online and bought a couple more of them at the price. And probably the last thing I just want to show you is that there's the stitching on the loop. So 3 different stitches, and that middle yellow one looks like it's possibly stitch twice over. So to be fair, I just rolled this up with some help as tight as I could get it. All right, which typically in the woods I'm not gonna be able to get it this tight on the ground. And then in that case I might just stuff it into my pack or leave it on the outside somewhere. So this is about as tight as I could get it. I want to see how well it'll slide in here. And it actually does. So to be fair to the company, that when I rolled it up as tight as I could get it, it slid in very easily. So just one thing to remember, sometimes these companies do make these bags way too tight that it's almost impossible to ever get it back in there. This one, I just had to roll it up as tight as I could get it, and it did slide right in there. So I think that's it. I just wanted to show you this tarp. I'm going to test it out, and I might even take it on this 115-mile hike just because it's a lot lighter than my durable tarp, and I think it's going to be all I really need for a lightweight trip. So 1.7 pounds is a lot better than the other ones at 3.5 pounds. All right, so thanks for joining me with Dan's Everything Outdoors, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and get out there and enjoy the outdoors. Thanks for watching.